What is going on, guys? Matt Downs with Daily Grind Fantasy Sports to help give you the edge for this NBA 3-game playoff slate on DraftKings. Cannot wait to break it down. If you guys are brand new to this channel, we provide both free and paid content for all daily fantasy sports across all sports. If you could please show your support by hitting that subscribe button, notification bell, and of course smashing that like button for all of our future NBA content. If you would like to know more about becoming a better DFS player and taking down that big GPP, head over to www.patreon.com/DGFantasy for more information. On Patreon, we give advanced cheat sheets for all DFS sports on DraftKings. These cheat sheets include updated projections, ownership, and our overall favorite plays from slate to slate. We take it a step further by teaching you how to play fantasy sports like a shark, by showing you where the best leverage spots are to put you in the best spots to take down tourneys. Also included is our private Discord chat where you get to talk over the slate with everyone, including our coaches, to help build your lineups. Now let's go ahead and dive right into this NBA 3-game slate on DraftKings, but first we have to go over some Patreon success here. A crazy winner over here on PrizePicks, something we always talk about every single stream. This person actually entered the $100 and a 5-pick flex, 10 times his money, won $1,000 over there on PrizePicks. Congratulations. This was a CSGO contest. And yes, we do cover some CSGO on our Patreon. We had another small GBP takedown winner here, 256.5. That's all you needed to win the GBP over there. $135 winner. We had a slate winner there. And then here was some of my success. Got first place in a small GBP, $50, turned into $550, turned into $170 on MLB. And I also had some CSGO success, turned $50 into $250. We had some small GBP takedowns here in MLB as well. Looks like he took down a lot of GBPs. 5th place out of 655, 2nd place out of 72, 1st place out of 100. Congrats all the way around. And guys, if you pay $20 a month, gives you access to all of our leverage sheets, GBP plays, cash plays for every single major sport we have going on right now, including esports, including NBA, MMA, everything that's going on in the weekends, NASCAR. So again, all of that and so much more. Plus, it gives you access to our private Discord chat where we talk DFS every single day. Also, a pretty big announcement from PrizePicks. You are now legally allowed to play in the state of New York. I know a lot of you are from New York and you've been waiting for this moment. If you want to play PrizePicks and you live in the state of New York, you enter code DGF when signing up, and we'll be giving away a lot of free PrizePicks picks on our live streams. Nonetheless, let's go ahead and finally dive right into this NBA slate. Just a quick reminder, the first game does tip off at 7:30. We have a 10 o'clock game and 10:30 game, so it is a three-game slate. First game is Boston versus Brooklyn. No injury news whatsoever with the exception of Jaylen Brown, but he's been out for a little bit and is not expected to be playing in these playoffs. So we will be taking that into consideration when breaking down Boston versus Brooklyn. With the Lakers, nothing going on. It shows both AD and LeBron James is probable. Don't even know why they have an injury designation. They will play in this game because they are down 0-1 here versus Phoenix. Phoenix is without Nader, he's been out for a little bit. And then the major slate-breaking injury news here is with Dallas. I say slate-breaking because Maxi Kleber is actually $3,400 on DraftKings, and right now he's projected to play 32 minutes, and that is a crazy good value play. If he does sit, then yes, he's gonna be completely off the block, and it's gonna change a lot of these lineup constructions, but he will be mega chalk if he does play those 32 minutes. He is technically questionable. If he does play, he's gonna be mega chalk. If he doesn't, then yes, we have to kind of sit back, reevaluate things, and if he is ruled out, I will pin a post in the YouTube comment section below stating some of my favorite value plays on the slate. JJ Redick is also officially out, and then with the Clippers, nothing going on there. All right, so first we're going to go game by game. I'm going to give you guys just a rough overview on the slate as a whole. And we do have ownership projections, so this will give us a good idea on what direction to go here on the slate. Starting out with the Boston Celtics, Robert Williams went down in price tag. He went down in price tag, guys. I said that right. He was $4,800 last game and is now $4,600. Only played 23 minutes, which is about what we expect here throughout the rest of the playoffs. He's been dealing with that turf injury, and right now he's projected at 23 minutes. I think that's a bit conservative because they will need him here versus the Brooklyn Nets, as you guys saw in game 1. He is projected fairly high, 36.6% ownership. Other than Maxi Kleber, he is my favorite value play on the slate. 1.23 fantasy points per minute for a 4.6K guy is just way too crazy. He got like, I think it was 8 blocks. How many blocks did he end with here? He got 9 blocks last game. He shouldn't replicate that many blocks, but he needs to be a good defensive presence here versus the Brooklyn Nets. They will need him. So 5.9 point per dollar value is by far my favorite value other than Maxi Kleber on the slate. Another guy that's carrying some ownership is Marcus Smart. Not really a huge fan of him. 5.8K for him. 27.2% ownership, just fits your lineup constructions. I consider him cash viable, a 5.4 point per dollar value, averaging 0.9 fantasy points per minute so far in these playoffs. Another guy very similar to him is going to be Evan Fournier, projected 35 minutes, continuing to carry some ownership, but again, not really high on these guys as a whole. They're all decent value, as you guys can see here. 5.9 point per dollar value for Jabari Parker, 5.4 for Tatum, 5.4 for Walker, 5.6. There's nothing that really stands out other than Robert Williams. For me personally, I'm starting with Robert Williams in my cash builds. If you're going for GBP opportunities, yes, Marcus Smart, Fournier, Walker, and Tatum are all viable options. My favorite is going to be actually Evan Fournier, because he averages 0.96 fantasy points per minute, and he is seeing a decent amount of minutes, and they're going to need him here without Jaylen Brown in these playoffs. But right now, Robert Williams is only going to be, or it's going to be the only option that I'm considering for cash and small GBPs. Switching over to Brooklyn here, there's a lot of decent options, and I think these guys are mispriced across the board. Last game, I said you're going to need to take a stance on one of these three here. Just in terms of their upside, they all have each one of them have the potential to have a ceiling game between the three-headed monster here with Kevin Durant, Harden, and Kyrie Irving, and they all did fairly well with the exception of Kyrie Irving. It was Kevin Durant that had a very, very good game, and right now he's still continuing to be my favorite option here from this team. They all got price decreases. 9.3K is just far too cheap for Kevin Durant. He's actually going to be one of my favorite pay-up options on the slate just because of his price tag. 38 projected minutes, 23.6% ownership. He's also the highest owned on the slate, but really all these guys are just going to be GPP options from the very first game with the exception of Robert Williams. James Harden, 10.2K, 21.4% ownership. I'm just going to continue to take the stance. One of these three will have a ceiling game. It's just a matter of choosing the right one. If you're playing cash or small GPPs, I probably wouldn't take a stab at any one of these guys with maybe the exception of Kevin Durant. He continues to be the higher usage guy, and they will need him down low here versus Boston. He's my favorite option. Joe Harris, not that bad of a price tag, 4.8K. We like shooters in higher pace contests. He didn't do too well last game because they really didn't need him. Only shot 11 times. Just going to be a GPP option for me. And then Jeff Green at 3.6K, projected 26 minutes, is going to be a GPP dart throw for me. 5.6 point per dollar value. These guys really do rate decently on their sheet just because of their price tag decreases, but only GPP options for me here from Brooklyn. The exact same thing can be said for the Lakers, just a GPP team for me. Dennis Schroeder, 5.6K, projected 33 minutes. He got about 34 last game. I think that's about what we're going to expect from him throughout the playoffs, 30 to about 34 projected minutes. A decent amount of upside, 17.8% ownership. But if you guys want to get very, very contrarian today in contests, you're going to be paying up for LeBron James or Anthony Davis, and they will need these guys to step it up if they're going to beat the Phoenix Suns today. Their backs are against the wall. They're going to need to steal one of these games to be in the driver's seat going on throughout the series. Anthony Davis shot 5 of 16 in the first game. Like I said, they're going to need him to step it up. LeBron James has a crazy record when dropping the first game in the series. In the second game, it's like, I think it's almost undefeated. So LeBron James, if you believe in history and if you believe it will repeat itself, then you're going to suspect that LeBron James is going to have a great bounce back game. 10.1K, carrying very, very low ownership and will make for a very contrarian build. Only showing 12.6% ownership, and Anthony Davis showing 12.2% ownership. But other than that, the rest of these guys don't show too well on their sheet. It is a pace down spot. They're only projected to score 105 points. With the exception of LeBron James and Anthony Davis, I don't have any true interest in the LA Lakers. Next on the list is going to be the Phoenix Suns, and I have a ton of interest in the Phoenix Suns. First of all, Chris Paul is showing one of the higher owned guys on the slate, 34.2% ownership. Definitely makes sense. 7.6K price tag. He did hurt his shoulder in the very first game. Still played 36 minutes, but I don't think his production went well with the shoulder injury kind of nagging him. So 7.6K, 34.2% ownership. If it is still bothering him, he could be a sharp fade in cash. I'm probably going to be playing him in cash, but if you want to get different in GPPs, I think this is the way to go. DeAndre Ayton is by far my favorite play on this team. 6.3 point per dollar value, and honestly, one of my favorite options on the entire slate. Got a price decrease, went from 6.2K down to 6.1K. Doesn't make sense to me. He did very well defensively, did his job, got 16 rebounds. That's all they need him to do versus Anthony Davis to beat these guys. 29.8% ownership. He is both cash and GPP viable, in my opinion. 6.1K is just far too cheap for him. And the one question mark I had with DeAndre Ayton is how many minutes was he going to play down the stretch? He played 37 minutes. So now that we know that the coach is going to be putting a lot of minutes on his shoulders here versus Anthony Davis, I absolutely love him here at that 6.1K price tag. 6.3 point per dollar value. And then Devin Booker, what a beast he was in the very first game. Played 45 minutes. Right now we have him projected at 40. Definitely don't mind him for GPPs. 29 projected ownership. And he's a nice little pivot off of Chris Paul. Shot very well, 5.6 point per dollar value, and then the rest of these guys are just going to be GPP viable. Mikal Bridges, a lot of minutes, 5.3K, didn't perform too well when he was out there, but I love the minute upside, love the time he's going to be out there on the floor. 38 projected minutes for him, and then Jay Crowder, another plug and play, just GPP viable for me, and then same thing with Cameron Johnson. Last but not least is this Dallas Clippers game. Dallas, it all is going to depend on if Maxi Kleber is going to play. If he's going to play, love him at 3.4K, 32 projected minutes. Yes, he's not the most prolific fantasy point per minute players, 0.79 fantasy points per minute, but he comes out to a 6.6 point per dollar value regardless. I think he's just a plug and play in cash and small GPPs. Doncic was an absolute beast in his first game, dropped 71.5 points. They're going to need him in game 2 as well. If they win this game 2, I'm almost going to consider the series done because they're going to steal 2 games away from the Clippers at home. The disrespect there with Doncic. What a beast he was. 24.6% ownership. Still makes for a very contrarian build. I don't think the ownership will be as high on him, and I'll show you why here in a little bit. 10.6K, just a very awkward price tag in general. Porzingis, a very low owned GPP option. Don't hate him, but he has not been shooting the ball well, has not been very efficient here for the Dallas Mavericks as of late. Tim Hardaway, I don't mind him for GPPs. 31 projected minutes, 5.4K price tag, and averages 0.9 fantasy points per minute. Comes out to a 5.2 point per dollar value. But for cash, my only option that I'm considering in small GPPs is going to be Maxi Kleber. Just an easy plug and play and a good salary saver if he plays. If he does not, then yes, forget everything I just said about the Dallas Mavericks. They're just going to be GPP viable for me. Last but not least, the Clippers. All right. Let me give out my rant about the Clippers. First of all, the disrespect on Paul George's name, it needs to be gone, okay? Paul George is a baller. He needs to step it up in the playoffs, and I'm calling it right now. He has to do it now. Paul George, 8K. Hit value in this last game, 39.5 fantasy points. He was 7.8K, so yes, he did hit value in the last game. Kawhi Leonard also did do very well in the first game, but not well enough. These guys need to step it up and step it up big. The cash build is going to start with these two because these price tags are very, very cheap. Right now, we have Kawhi Leonard penned for 50.7 fantasy points, a 6.1 point per dollar value, and then Paul George, 8K, averaging 1.25 fantasy points per minute. We have him penned for 49.5 points, and he's also projected 39 minutes, a 6.2 point per dollar value. Those two guys should be in your cash lineup, period. They need to win this game, and they need to step it up big, and I expect them to do so, starting with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. They are the highest owned on the slate, and for good reason. I think they are very, very underpriced. The rest of these guys, just GPP options. Nick Batum does play a good amount of minutes for a 3.8K price tag. I don't mind him as the last piece in cash, but only averaging 0.75 fantasy points per minute. And then also Marcus Morris, GPP viable for me. Zubac, Beverly, Rondo. It was yet to be seen what the minutes were going to look like in game 1, and they all played about 20 minutes. They're going to be evenly distributed throughout those guards there for the rest of this lineup. So my only cash options that I'm really considering from this team are going to be Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. That being said, you guys like the next thing I'm about to do. I've been doing this for all of my videos. I'm constructing a lineup based on what I just broke down, and this is my overall thought process if I'm constructing one single lineup. If you guys know me, I play multiple lineups. I will always continue to do that because I think that's the most efficient way to win in DFS. Take advantage of the ownership and contest selection, and just taking advantage of all the fish in the sea, okay? Be the shark. Take advantage and don't just play one lineup. That is my best word of advice going forward for all of you fantasy players out there that are struggling. And by the way, we have a DFS 101 playlist if you guys want to become a better DFS player. Also join our Patreon for $20 a month, and we will be giving you guys all of the general strategies that you need to succeed in DFS. But today, if I'm starting a one lineup or just a core, really, I'm starting with Maxi Kleber, assuming he does play. Power forward, lock and load him. Another player I really do like, which I just talked about, Ayton. I think he's one of the biggest locks on the slate. I'm also sliding in Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. And where do you go from there? I think that's the safest bet of a core. I think I'm going multiple different directions. I think Robert Williams is another great player that stands out to me, playing just center eligible. So I have a double center build, and also Maxi Kleber playing power forward. So it looks like no more centers for me. I think if you're going for a one lineup, DeAndre Ayton, Robert Williams, and Maxi Kleber are probably the low or the value plays that you're starting with there. Batum is showing decent. Mikal Bridges, Kevin Durant, I really do like. Let's see, can I fit him in there? I probably could. Let's actually go. Let's go Durant. Maybe Chris Paul. Can I do it? Gonna leave me with a bum. Yeah, I can't do that. So let's take away. So if you want to get different, I say you go the route of Kevin Durant. If you want to go very cashy, you go Chris Paul. Chris Paul's also cheaper. That leaves me with $6K remaining. You could go Devin Booker or Evan Fournier. Let's go. Do I have exposure to the Suns? I do. I have Chris Paul. So let's go. Let's go Evan Fournier. That can't screw me, right? Evan Fournier? No, that can absolutely screw me. And then it leaves me with Andre Drummond, Marcus Smart. So you could go Marcus Smart. Oh, no, you got to go forward. So you could go Tim Hardaway. That kind of sucks. So let's get rid of Evan Fournier. Let's go with another option. Let's go. You know what? Let's go Batum. I don't hate Batum. Sure. And then that leaves me with Booker at 8.1K. Yeah, I like that build a lot more. So again, this is very safe because you have exposure to Chris Paul, Ayton, and Booker, assuming that they all do well. Chris Paul. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, both superstars for the Clippers. So this has limited upside, but I think this is a very good cash lineup, small GBP lineup, and this can definitely do well in those type of contests. But if I'm getting different, I'm paying up for one of the two studs of Anthony Davis, LeBron James, or Doncic. Even go with one of the studs with Harden, Durant. Like, I think that's a great way to get different, and then paying down for maybe somebody like Nick Batum, maybe Marcus Morris, or somebody down here. And again, hopefully more value opens up here with the Maxi Kleber news. It will definitely open up that realm of possibility in terms of ownership and also low owned studs. All right, going over to the PrizePicks board. You guys know I give away one free PrizePicks every single contest. This guy was a letdown in game one, but he did come down in a fantasy score. Right now, it's going to be Joe Harris, 19 fantasy score. If I pull up my cheat sheet here, right now he has a 63.95% chance to hit the over. We have him pinned for 24.3 points on PrizePicks. Keep in mind, they do FanDuel scoring, so it is a little bit lower. So right now, we have him pinned for 24 fantasy points over there on FanDuel. So that will wrap up my video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy this video. If it did, please do hit that subscription button, notification bell, and of course, smash that like button for all of our future NBA content. With all that being said, have a great rest of your day, and let's cash.